Fresh indications suggest an impending mass defection from the Labour Party LP in Enugu State as internal disputes continue to destabilize the party structure across the state. An investigation revealed growing dissatisfaction among key members, with many already preparing to defect to rival political parties. The development follows reports of significant internal wrangling that has weakened party cohesion since the 2023 general elections. Our conversation point shall be on intra-party crisis in political parties in Enugu State. And our guest will be, or is already seated live in our studio, an author, a journalist, and a public affairs analyst, Wordshot, Amaechi Ugwele. Nice to have you as a guest, sir.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Right on. It's no longer news that there's been defection since 2023 general elections. First of all, we had some members of Enugu State House of Assembly who were voted into power on the Labour Party platform defected. I think about 6 of them defected to the ruling party in the state, PDP. And the grand father of it all happened just the other day with the gubernatorial candidate, the campaign from Labour Party to PDP. I don't know really if that suggests intra-party crisis. What do you think?
Yeah, okay. Yes, if anybody who is a keen observer of political developments in the state does not come away with such an impression, then maybe, I don't know. But of course, yes, if a group that was together, all of a sudden we begin to see fractionalization, people want to leave, people want to stay. But to be very fair to the members of the Labour Party in Enugu, I personally had seen it coming, because what was happening at the national level was actually proving too much for them to handle. The pressure was coming from external, as in, if you watch that the Labour Party at the national level is already lacking that unity that they had during the election. And Labour eventually proved that it didn't have the necessary structure that actually belonged to the party to hold her members together after the election. Okay? People didn't know that Labour Party was there before. But somehow, you saw Peter Obi, after leaving PDP, entering Labour. People's attention immediately switched to Labour. In Enugu, Edoga left the PDP as Obi did and entered the Labour Party. And for the people of Enugu, they just got the vehicle they needed to effect the change they needed, they desired. However, as the election ended the way it did, both for Obi and Edoga, because what actually puts a party together, the adhesive tape, the bond, the binding of every political party lies in, ability to actually capture and hold a political office, executive office, because that is where the fund comes from. That is where the juicy, in fact, because political party, of course, is made up of a group of people with similar interests, whose, mission is to seek and capture and hold power for themselves and then for the people. Okay? So, if a party fails to get power, fails to grab power, fails to be elected into any executive position, it is usually very strenuous to manage, the structure, because you use funds to do all of this. So, at the national level, Labour was not there. At the state level, Labour was not there. And I think the 5 or so, 6 members of the Labour Party legislators that defected very early at the time, maybe they might have foreseen what will happen today, okay? And they realized that if we don't have the presidency, we don't have the state governorship, what is our fate? Because the truth remains that the system has a way of sustaining the party mechanism. The members of government are members of the party, okay? So now the party will be starved of funds. The members will, not have any patronage. Like politicians, at the end of the day, after elections have been held and maybe they won, the next thing is sharing the spoils of, the war, the booty, which is, of course, government will always execute projects. People have to, do this as contractors. There will be appointments, So many other ways people are rewarded. So many other ways people are patronized. But it takes only being in office to have access to this. So that is one area that provides cohesion. Because even if you are disenchanted, even if somebody is, annoying you and you may want to go, you could actually overlook it because you know that at the end of the day, if things work out well, that you as an individual could get your patronage. Look at the look at the members of the PDP in Enugu. Look at the members of the APC in Enugu. The members of the APC, they are getting the little patronage they could from Abuja. At least we have a minister from Enugu who is a member of the APC. He has his own aides, those who are working with him. And it is just like, a tree planted by the riverside. You never lack nourishment. Look at the members of the PDP, okay? Even when some of them are complaining that the situation is not as it used to be, that, this administration is a little bit more frugal. But if you ask me...
With funds, right?
Yes, if you ask me, maybe it could be, prudency. That, because party people, they really like to enjoy, okay? They like to enjoy. Forget that they say we want to hold power in trust for the people to provide service and what they want. But if you ask me, to them, it's just all about themselves. So now, within Bar administration, it is a little bit different. So they are not getting as much patronage as they are. The government is working. And I can tell you, even though I'm not a member of the PDP, I'm not a member of the Labour Party, but I have associates who are members. If you ask me, I know that those who are, some of the projects that are being executed by the state government here, of course, are being handled by interests that are not too far from the party members. So you see, they have everything that could bring them together. They have every reason to attract people and all of that. So people may want to protect their collective interest because things are happening here. Nobody lives where things are happening for where things are not happening. It is not so fortunate with Labour because nothing is coming from anywhere. The few of the members that are elected are overstrained, overstretched. The demand on these few persons are quite strenuous that they cannot, provide succor to the thousands of their members, officials that actually needed to be serviced once in a while and all of that. So you find out that poverty, want, deprivation, lack will always bring strife and all of that. And in the midst of all of this, when people are aware things are not happening, it is natural. It's a natural response, a natural behavior, okay, for people to want to live where things are difficult, for where things are a little bit easy, or where things are easier, okay? They may want to live where it is certain. But what is happening now is that they have their different levels of processing their reality. For instance, the Labour Party reality is there for the discerning to see. The APC reality is there for the discerning to see. The PDP reality is there for the discerning to see. But everybody doesn't have that power of discernment, equal discernment ability to know that, look, even from now till tomorrow, nothing will happen. Some have that patience, some have that hope. But you see, in politics, people are differently motivated. What is motivating this politician? What is motivating this politician? Is it just service, or is it some selfish interest? But the truth is that every politician, just like every human being, is selfish. But what we are saying is, where is the balance between that selfish desire and that interest to serve the people, to be of service to the community? So when people look at the choices that are available to them, they make their move. Like I said, there is no party that has not experienced, what maybe Labour Party is going through in Enugu now. Okay, it is not actually the making of the members. They are just overwhelmed by what is happening in Abuja. Some feel that they cannot come out of that situation. Some feel that there is hope. Okay, and you see, there's already divergence. Those who feel that, yes, these court cases in Abuja, that by the time we are done with it, everything will normalize. And then, but because the truth is that those who are handling labor now, there are two factions. Those who are handling labor now, some people believe, and mostly members in Enugu believe, that it is in the hands of people they do not trust, and that these people may actually be there fighting, a proxy interest. They are there on behalf of some people who may not actually wish the party well. Okay, some believe that at the end of the day, those people that they think are actually there to protect their interest may have their way, and if that happens, that maybe their rallying points, their interest, and the chief inspirer of the party, which is Peter Obi, that if he remains there, that means that our structure is very much intact. But some people are not willing to gamble, to wait if it is going to happen like that. So now coming to the state, you see, who are the members of the Labour Party? These are people who mostly were coming from different parties. Because another thing that creates this kind of disunity is the usual strange bedfellowship that politicians often want to arrange. People who are incompatible, people who have different ambitions, people who are differently motivated, people who have different desires, people who have different capacity, people who have different impressions, opinions, and ideas as to how to run the affairs of the party, may actually find themselves coming together to cobble.
Can we say union. They are disgruntled?
No. What makes somebody disgruntled in a party is the issues that are in contention. Okay, let me illustrate it this way. That, okay, we want to go this way. Like what is happening now, we want to go this way. Some will say, no, let us go right. Some will say, let us go left. And then maybe some may prevail. And one or two persons who do not actually appreciate that decision may become discontented, disgruntled. And, their spirit may go with that. They may resort to sabotaging the party, or just being lackadaisical members who are no more willing to be as active, and as resourceful and as willing to sacrifice for the party as is expected. Okay, so if you call them disgruntled, you may be right or you may be wrong, but some may be disaffected, just disaffection, disillusionment. Okay, some may have actually assessed the situation and saw a very realistic picture of the hopelessness ahead and feel that there's no point boarding a vehicle that is heading nowhere. Okay, that this is the time to bail out. Some have seen the ship as almost completely sunk. There is no point remaining, otherwise we want to go to the bottom of the ocean with it. Some still believe that something could be salvaged somehow, even if the whole ship is not saved. We could actually board one or two lifeboats and sail away with some prized possessions that could help us to establish somewhere else. Sometimes people who take such decisions find themselves actually being marooned in an island of irrelevance, island of being abandoned, kind of playing themselves out of the game and all that. So that is why it is a very complex situation. But like I was saying, crisis in party is like the very nature of party itself. Okay?
There will always be.
There will always be crisis. But the thing is that what the difference is the ability to contain this crisis, to manage this crisis because of contending interest. And what usually helps is if the party is holding power. It is easier for parties holding power to maintain discipline because they are holding the carrot.
Okay.
And they have the ability to wear the stick as well.
You dwell so much on the issues with Labour Party, at least Labour Party in Enugu.
Okay.
And somehow you touched the issue with APC Enugu, but I need you to actually, there's no current defection or known defection from APC to PDP.
No. It's simple. You don't live where things are happening to where things are not happening.
You think things are happening in APC
APC Enugu, let me tell you, APC Enugu is in a very unique position, okay? For a very long time. Okay, we came into 2023 with three major parties. The PDP, the Labour Party, the APC, no, four, and then APGA. Now nobody's hearing anything about APGA at all. APGA is vibrant in Anambra, neighboring Anambra State, but it is not here in Enugu. But when Chief Frank Mweke contested under the
APGA.
Yes, under the APGA, became the standard bearer for the gubernatorial contest in Enugu. He gave APGA a little fillip. He was a man full of ideas, very eloquent, with clarity of thoughts and vision. He was able to attract certain kinds of people. But of course, you know that PDP was and still remains a behemoth in Enugu. PDP has been in power since the dawn of democracy in Enugu State. Virtually everybody who today in the state politics has his umbilical tied to the PDP. But of course, people will always leave, sometimes come back, as is natural with politicians. Like you said, if there is a disgruntlement, if there is disillusionment, if there is a discontentment, somebody may leave. And depending on your capacity, your influence, and of course your ability to maneuver your way, you can either be invited back or you find your way back. Just like Edoga. Edoga left the PDP, okay? Did very well in Labour Party, did excellently well. In fact, during the PDP primaries, I can tell you confidently that Edoga was the most visible, I don't want to say the only, was the most visible candidate, the visible candidate before the primaries. Was everywhere. And that was where some people make the mistake of thinking that Edoga's popularity came from Obi. No. Edoga was already popular, very popular among PDP delegates, among PDP party members, among party members. He was already very popular. Okay? Just before, in fact, before the PDP primaries, there was no Labour Party. Nobody knew Labour Party in Enugu. It was only PDP, APC, and APGA in this order. And of course, the influence of the other two were far, far, far distant. So, when the primaries ended and Mba emerged, there was a kind of shock to some members of the PDP. Okay? And don't forget that because PDP was, there was a kind of unipolar political activities. Everybody belonged to the PDP. What was now the difference was your ability to find yourself where you could wield influence or be remembered by those who are influential in the party. So, because everybody had to follow that same PDP door to seek his fortune, a lot were excluded. A lot were maliciously excluded. A lot were not remembered. A lot were shunted aside. And all this collapsed into a kind of burning rage that some of the members had as they approached that election. So, when the election happened and Edoga left, he had the clout, he had the credibility, he had the personality to actually attract a lot of following into the Labour Party. And people followed him. Many followed him openly, but a greater number followed him without actually physically indicating so. Okay? Because of various reasons. Some people identify with the masses that we really needed good governance, that we really needed a change in the fortune of the state, that we really needed, people who were going to be answerable to us. And this is not to say, I don't want to dismiss the past administrations of the PDP in the state outrightly. Even the immediate past administration of Ugwele, there are some places it did well, there are some places it didn't do well. You cannot just say that a government failed totally. Do you understand? But they had their style because of their monopoly. Because they will go to bed and sleep with their two eyes closed.
I will eventually take you up on that monopolistic
Yes.
tendencies that you mentioned. But I'd like us to talk about the internal wranglings in APC. Or are you saying that there is none?
Okay, there is. But let me
Before the election, during the election, after the election.
I told you there will always be, but it is the ability to manage it. Like if we have a cake before us, and of course, I'm the one controlling it. But of course, you also have access. But maybe determined by, how willing I am to let you partake in it. You will naturally dance to my tune because I dictate the tune. Now, you'll be very careful before allowing the quarrel to develop between us. Uche is the leader of the APC in Enugu State. Probably every other person, including the chairman Ugwele, may have to depend on him. Because if you ask me, who, for instance, does Mr. President know? It's him. He sits in the Federal Executive Council meeting every week or so with him. So, naturally, he's the ladder to where the patronage comes from. In Enugu, Mba is the governor. Others that are around, the commissioners, members of the executive councils, the local government chairman and all that, these are all sources of dissemination of influence, power and patronage by the party. So if you line up behind one of these people, you have the hope of getting. But the thing is that, is it flowing as they expect? No. So there is a kind of simmering discontentment in PDP. But it cannot be blown open like the other one. What Labour is suffering from is, how do I describe it? It is different from PDP. PDP doesn't have issue with managing their membership positions and all of that. The lineup is already well established. But Labour is having problem. In fact, now they have it has become factionalized in Enugu, with the other side saying they have suspended the chairman, and with the chairman who was allegedly suspended saying these people are joking. That is where we are now.
With
in
APC,
Labour.
in
Labour. Yes, so, but PDP doesn't have that. The complaints of the PDP members is that they are not getting what they should get. So you see,
and that's causing disaffection.
So you see, that is, but it is muted. It is muted because somebody is holding power. If you are seen or heard over complaining, the weight of the authorities could be brought, to bear on you. So these are the issues. But you see, Labour found themselves in an unfortunate position. PDP found themselves in a better position. APC is not as better as the PDP, but it's better than Labour because they still have power, the federal power. Now, what does all this have to do with ambition of politicians? That actually is like the magnet that attracts or decide where they go. Incumbency. A politician knows that he has a better chance in a party that is in government than a party that is not in government, no matter how massive the support among the people is. You know why? The kind of the electoral system we operate. Except there is a comprehensive reform in the electoral system, our elections may continue to suffer lack of credibility. Okay? It may continue to suffer flawedness of system, where at the end of the day, okay, look at what is happening in Edo. somewhere else at another platform, I was talking. And I told them I wasn't surprised that the governor of Edo won his case at the tribunal. That I even want to tell them that he will win at the next level, which is the appeal court.
And he did.
And he will still win at the Supreme Court. I told them, but I said, don't ask me why. But I am telling you that he's going to win. That is the Nigerian, we have found ourselves in. So, whoever is in PDP in Enugu has a better chance in local elections, okay? Governorship election, senatorial election, House of Reps, chairmanship election, and then House of Assembly.
Okay, it's looking like the winner takes it all syndrome is actually in play here, because if happens. Other members of the other parties, their members were factored in appointments, for instance, and even contracts. Maybe the
it's always winner takes all. No party will go for an election, win an election, and then begin to, if they are extending any house of fellowship to anybody across the other line, it is not because they so much love the person. It is strategic. Maybe because that person is important, they want to lure the person across to their own side.
It's looking like that's what's playing out in the federal
everywhere. But the point I was trying to
make, where a PDP man is also in the cabinet of the APC.
Why did Tinubu reach out to Wike? Tinubu reached out to Wike because, like I said, Wike was a strategic politician for him, and he's already doing it. Who do you think is responsible for what is happening to PDP at the national level? It is Wike. Okay? Many people believe, and I think so too, that what is happening to Labour is not far from the court of president. That's the way Nigerian politicians play their game. So the point I was making is that the party in government, okay, everybody will want to go there because of the Nigerian system. If they go to election, like of all the local governments we have in Enugu State, 17 of them, is there any other party that won the local government election except the PDP? So when those people emerged as the candidates of the PDP, it was almost like a shop banker that they were going. Okay? Yeah, but you see, the governorship election in Enugu was a little bit different. It was fiercely contested with the results happening the way it did. Okay? And of course, you saw that there was a little bit of a 3-day gap before it was announced, during which a whole lot of things could have happened. So what led to that? The formidability of PDP. In fact, that the people who, someone like Edoga and his people, were able to even survive it was because they were also in PDP. And a lot of people, heavyweight, a lot of people that had strong backbones were also there with them. Otherwise, PDP had the capacity to overwhelm anybody. So everybody will want to be where there is more certainty of winning. Now, if you are targeting maybe federal appointments, let me tell you the way politicians think. That person, this choice may be the APC. Because if you expose yourself very well in APC and you are noticed, you could find yourself hobnobbing with national leaders, and you could get your patronage from there. If it is state, then you look for the party at the state level. So every politician is kind of moved by his desire, ambitions, and what he wants to achieve in politics. And it's just like you want to go somewhere. You can't just start moving without knowing where you want to go. So when you know when you know what you want to become, then you set out to achieving that. That is what is happening. So these are the centrifugal forces that create the crisis. And let me tell
you have talked about some forces, some factors that bring about this, but there is something that I don't know about other climes, but we get to hear about that often here, and that is a sponsored discord.
Oh yes, but sponsored discord is actually what is holding PDP and APC nationally. Okay. In fact, it's just trickling down. the Labour Party, I mean, not APC, but Labour Party and the PDP. Labour Party, it has just happened that they have not been able to manage theirs very well. Okay, and again too, I think the former governorship candidate of the Labour Party, which is Barrister Chijioke Edoga, I think he looked at his options. He looked at his options and decided that since I was a member of the PDP, I just have to go back there. And don't forget that even before he joined the Labour Party, before he left APC for Labour Party, I mean the PDP for Labour Party, there were discussions. It was that discussions that gave him the ticket. It was that discussion that gave him other rights and privileges. Okay? Now, as he also sorted out the choices before him, I am also sure, because we were aware that the APC also approached him. He became the beautiful bride. They knew he was very formidable. Labour wanted him to remain. But of course, he would have considered his choices in Labour. What is our hope with what is sponsored, what do we call sponsored discord? Is it the one that you think could end any day? Now, he looked at APC. APC, I think, approached him. He looked at PDP before, for whatever reason. Because, like I said, politicians meet. There is what they call horse trading. You meet and negotiate. And if it's just like business, it's just like trading, whichever one that suits your interest most, you go. Forget the idea of it is for the people. I know within the context of political activities, there are people who actually want to do well for the society. But of course, you have to be a politician to understand that politics is a game that is played in a particular way and with a particular mindset, heart, and courage. If you waver, you will just be cast aside. Now, so that is just the way it is.
I know you alluded to leadership struggles, at least you mentioned, because if you didn't bring it up now, most people may not know that there have been leadership struggles in Labour Party here in Enugu. We all know about what's going on in
that leadership struggle. See, let me tell you, it is leadership struggle, I think, that was instigated by the divided interests, the ownership of structures. In fact, the life wire of every party is structure. And what is structure? The person. The structure is the system, the party system that holds the membership and their loyalty and their commitment to act and seek the success of the party. And this is like a system. And this is a living system that is awaiting the command and activation of those they believe in. So, if somebody has a structure, he has this structure because he facilitated the existence of that structure in putting people there, maybe the officials at the ward level, the local government level, and then the state level. So, if you had a say in the coming to existence of such an arrangement in your local level, then it means that you have the structure or you are part of the owners of the structure. So you tell your people where you are going. And sometimes when maybe the chairman has a different idea from the owners of the structure and there is a disagreement, then you see what is happening. The chairman may go this way and the stakeholders may go this way, and then fragmentation will occur. But the truth is that, you see, crisis in a party is a normal thing. It's very, very normal. Some people who do not know think these people are quarreling.
Oh, okay. Now you have said, you just emphasized on the leadership struggles. You just expatiated on why it happens.
It's just disagreement. Don't forget, when in 1999, when PDP came into existence in Enugu State, the first governor was Chimaroke, and Jim Mubdu played very important role in his emergence. But they disagreed. That was when PDP had its serious crisis. That at a point, Mubdu had to flee the state. At a point, the State House of Assembly was under the control. Some members were under the control of Jim Mubdu, and others few were with Chimaroke. The thing boiled over to such extent that even somebody it was alleged that the person was mistaken for a member of a recalcitrant member of the House of Assembly was killed. So that was between Wokoto and this thing. And when this thing is happening, it's just like two elephants fighting. Their supporters will line up behind them. Somehow, it could lead to some people leaving the party. The stronger party will prevail, and the weaker one may either seek to lick their wounds or find succor elsewhere. They leave.
Okay, I'd like us to still talk about. You have to allow me to ask you this question. I don't know if you already know what I was going to talk about, and I'm trying to avoid it. Now, it's about PDP. Now, you're saying that they do not have pronounced fragmentation, pronounced leadership struggle. So, but what you alluded to, you know, something that you said is muted, it's not pronounced. So I am asking, is it I don't know, 2027 is by the corner.
Yes.
For politicians, they are already preparing. Most of us are waiting for 2026 ending.
No, they are already,
to start, but they are strategizing. Okay, so is it going to have a role to play in 2027?
You see,
what is going on in PDP? Please do not deviate.
No, I won't deviate. Let me tell you, in PDP, just like every other party, the whole scenario, we are all peeking through a thick fog at tomorrow. Naturally, tomorrow is always unknown. But in this circumstance now, in this situation, everybody is trying to peer through a thick fog, through the cloud, to see very vague, you know, and, you know, in fact, the spectacle has not defined itself. People are only trying to kind of permutate. It's permutation. So, in PDP, I'm not a member of that, but from my observation, as a public affairs you know, analyst and a keen observer of political development in the state and elsewhere, what I'm seeing is that there is no issues with leadership in the PDP. The governor is fully in charge. But the thing is that there is a new culture that the current leadership introduced in the party. Okay, how do I put it? Let me say that unlike the previous regime, I am just lacking the words now to use, but I have a picture of what I'm trying to say. The atmosphere, we are different. Party activities was we are regular, okay? You could go to the government house and see party members, VIPs strutting about, going in to see the governor, coming out and all of that. But all that has changed. It has changed.
Is it? Do you consider it a positive development or not?
There were even reports at some time that some party big shots went to see the governor and they had to, you know, receive them through Zoom.
But do you consider it a positive
and for them, it was a sacrilege. Okay. But the man who did it knew what he was trying to do. Maybe, like I said, he wanted a government of prudence. Maybe he didn't want people who had no business to come to the government house.
And then you have to share thanks for coming envelopes.
The Enugu State government house is not PDP secretariat. It is the seat of government of the people. If you are going there, you are supposedly going there for a business that has to do with the people, not your party. But the culture that started from 1999 to the time that Mbak came made it such that once you are a member of the PDP, the government house is your play arena. So, and people are usually uncomfortable with change, especially change that takes away old habits that, of course, you know, die hard. So they're uncomfortable with that. And it is already being variously interpreted. The governor is mean. The governor is not patronizing enough. The governor is not recognizing our effort. And then what was your efforts? What are your efforts? Election was held. The so-called stakeholders all posted the result of their polling units. The governor saw them. And of course, he assessed them by such performances. Although I would say that it would have been difficult for anybody in PDP to do well during the last election because of the mass discontentment with the party. So, I think, I'm not, if I'm second guessing the governor, maybe he felt that I think I have to reach out to the people directly. The stakeholders are just burdensome middlemen who are increasing the price of commodities that have reached the people. Because if they are there, interfacing between me and the people, what they are going to do is to reduce what I may want to, give directly to the people. That the stakeholder want to see is the road I'm building in Abakpa.
What is the effect of all of this for 2027 for that particular party?
The effect is that, yes, it may brew a situation where members may be up in arms, even if not openly, maybe secretly, may be up in arms with the party because they feel shortchanged. They feel their efforts have not been recognized adequately. I'm not speaking for them, but this is from cursory observations because, of course, everybody knows that what obtains now is not how it used to be before. And like I said, somebody who was used to being patronized, somebody who was used to being spoiled from the common patrimony, and the purse is a little bit tighter now, he won't be happy. And these people have that kind of sense of entitlement that they think that it is their right, not even privilege. And of course, privilege can be withdrawn, but they feel it's their right. After all, I'm a stakeholder in PDP, so I should have what I want. But it's not always like that. But I want the governor to understand that whether he likes it or not, he's going to work with the people. So he has to find a way of meeting these people
halfway.
Halfway.
Okay.
So that he can work for the
look at
people
other
and
parties.
also maintain and service the machinery of the party. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that will go to the field.
Let's talk about other political parties in Enugu State. Prominently, for now, the Labour Party and APC, even when Labour Party has experienced, I will say, mass defection, because with the latest defection, we would expect that he will also move along with his people.
Okay.
But now, for the next election, the next general election, what does the internal wrangling in these other parties mean at the polls?
Okay, see, if this situation is not resolved, I'm sorry, there may not be any Labour Party that will go into that election, because you don't waste your time, okay, boarding a moribund vehicle. It's unfortunate, but there is no way. I think Shakespeare says there is no art to read the mind's constriction on the face. There's no way they would have known that these officials that we are there were not patriotic enough, that maybe they are not there as agents of external powers that may want to destabilize the party, that never wished it well. As you said, agents instigated and sponsored discord. So what would they do? And of course, you know how the court rules these days. At the end of the day, if the ruling comes from this Supreme Court that will seal the fate of the Usman's faction, that's the end for it. That's the end for Labour Party, because those with Abure, people already have their impressions about Abure. But if the court says he's the one, well, he is the one. But the thing is that those who are members of the Labour Party, do they have confidence in him? They may say that, well, the court might have said he's the one. But is he actually the one, for himself and for the party? That this man may not be leading us to where we are going. If he says it is Nenad Usman, that is the person that will be his weight.
Now, with all of these internal wranglings that is also pushing some party members out, is it not speaking for weak opposition? At least we're talking about
no. You see.
Opposition is no longer vibrant because all of the accusations coming from Labour Party, for instance, will die a natural death.
Let me tell you something about opposition. People are becoming wiser now. Politicians are becoming more professional now. You mean professional in the sense that they want to count, to take their counts at the end of every outing. What did I get? What didn't I get? You see, that kind of opposition, because Nigerian politics is crafted in such a way that it is purely for the reward of members. Everybody wants to be where things are happening, where you'll be rewarded. Those who would have naturally provided opposition, if you are expecting any opposition today, it is the politicians that have been excluded. But like somebody like Atiku Abubakar.
Even in the same party, you mean?
Yes. Okay. What is the essence of staying in the party that you have no say? Look at El-Rufai. Why did he leave?
APC.
He left APC. El-Rufai fought gallantly for Tinubu. But you see, politicians reason in a peculiar way. Those of us do not see what they see in El-Rufai. We don't know what they know about him. Some others would have been seeing him as an asset. But those of them who are with him might have concluded that if we have this man here, he might pose a threat to us. So let's frustrate him. And he has also read their mindset and said, let me go. So what does he do? He is trying to rally people around to either oppose the APC genuinely with the hope of snatching power if we could rally and muster enough power, enough people, or at least be a very big bone in the neck of the APC. So the way it is, you don't expect any opposition when politicians are not willing to sacrifice. What will be the reward of opposition?
Okay,
They want to go and win election. They want to go and be in offices.
As we begin to wind down, there is something we left out, or maybe you were not big on.
Okay.
That's the issue of godfatherism.
Oh, godfatherism. Godfatherism.
Is it a contributor in all of these party crises?
Godfatherism contributes a lot in godfatherism. In fact, of course, the most extant case is that of Wike and Fubara, okay, and then even with the way the PDP does their things in Enugu, for instance, what we all know in Enugu, for instance, there are some people who sit down to say this person will go, this person will go, this person will go. Automatically, they become their godfathers, and they decide what you do. They decide you take on any issue, and in fact, it's expected that you have to be loyal. Unquestioningly, comprehensively, totally loyal, whether they are right or wrong. And that is why people like us will always find it difficult to be in politics. So, the disagreement between godfathers and their minions, their wards, have also been an issue. Because a governor is a governor. You could install a governor, by the time the man becomes fully aware of the enormous power he wields as the executive governor of the state. Man, there are things you cannot tell him. He's the one that signs.
Let's talk about resolution now. All of this, you said that internal wranglings, internal crisis, intra-party crisis are normal. So I'd like to know, are there, means and ways that this crisis can be resolved so that the party can move forward?
Well, the resolution, first and foremost, is hinged on what the crisis is all about. There are some crises that can be so intractable, especially when what is at stake is so huge that nobody is willing to shift ground. But you see, when there are compromises, just as I said that if I were the governor, I would not totally discountenance the stakeholders in PDP, because only one man, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much influence you have, cannot be everywhere. You still need people to do the legwork for you. But because people believe that the way Nigeria election, has turned into now, what is turned into now, that it doesn't matter. They can stay one place and do whatever magic, conjure whatever figures they want to do. But for the sake of cohesion of the party, it is always good to be accommodating. It's always good to not to be extremely selfish. It's always good to be fair to others. It's always good to have that team spirit, to know that a party, look at what they called it, party, a group of people who have a common interest to win election and control power. I don't think a party means one person, but we have seen how people personalizes and takes over everything. So that is the issue. Then another one, if you're a party man, be a genuine party man. Don't make yourself to become an instrument of destabilization by others. Some people are there merchandising their influence. If you give them enough money, they will go to their party and cause crisis. They are there. There are people like that. Okay? So we don't play politics of ideology in Nigeria. We play politics of selfishness and politics of personal interest.
With residual knowledge, do you foresee more defections?
Oh, there will be more defections.
Before 2027?
Let me tell you. In Labour Party, in fact, Labour Party will be worst affected because of the unfortunate situation they have found themselves. If Obi will remain in Labour Party, if the matter is resolved and Nenadi Usman's faction is recognized, Labour Party in Enugu, majority of the people may stay. But again, some may reason, if we stay, do we really have what it takes to meaningfully challenge the president and the governor? My dear sister, you saw what happened when Tinubu was not a president. You saw what happened when Mba was not a president.
The governor.
You can just the governor. You can imagine what could happen now. I am not alluding to anything. I'm just being realistic.
Your point is the power of incumbency will come into play.
But that is not to say that is ideal. That is how it should have been. That is how it should be. No, I'm only being realistic. The kind of politics we play in Nigeria. If we play the politics of ideology and the electoral system is designed to promote transparency, promote credibility of polls, yes, people's vote will count.
All right. I think that's the right place to leave it. And time will not permit us to go any further. Maybe there's going to be a part 2 of this conversation with Wordshot Amaechi Ugwele. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
You're welcome.
He's an author, a journalist, and a public affairs analyst. And our subject matter was intra-party crisis in political parties in Enugu State.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.